Hello and happy Wednesday. You've got Colleen on your screen, and today we are talking about the true cost of mishires in your dental practice. So, if you've been around or been able to see the past few streams that we have completed, we've been talking specifically about hiring dental office managers, okay? And we've talked about ways that you can do that effectively. So we want to pause for a second and talk about the true cost of mishires. Exactly, what is all what comprises a mishire, like what it actually costs you. Like we mentioned multiple times in the previous streams about how mishires can really cost your dental practice. So today we're talking about specifically how it can cost your practice and even have some dollars and cents attached to uh, uh, to how mishires can actually impact your dental practice based on actual research. And then we're going to talk about how you can reduce the risk of mishires in your dental practice so that you can maintain a high level of functionality in your operations and you can provide the best patient care possible without burning out your team. Okay. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. But of course, before we dive too deeply into that, just want to talk for a moment about Princess Dental Staffing. They are a dental job board and they have positions available for dental receptionists, dental assistants, dental hygienists, dentists, and other dental professionals in a variety of areas. We're talking full-time, part-time, temporary, and permanent roles available. So if you have some time today, visit princessdentalstaffing.com. And if you're a job seeker, you can start looking for positions in your area. You can also create a profile, super easy to do so, and get your information in front of hiring managers. If you're a hiring manager, princessdentalstaffing.com has a lot of great resources and tools, FAQs, so that you learn all about the process, and it's really easy to post jobs. And their contact information is available on their website as well, phone number, email address, and chat. Okay. Also on princessdentalstaffing.com, you can check out their blog, which covers a lot of the same topics that we cover in these streams. And I definitely recommend that you check out their blog. They've been posting a lot of free CEs lately. So you can definitely check those out and get some free training, right? Free continuing education, right? Free is always a good thing. Speaking of these streams, each week Princess Dental Staffing is bringing you a new stream covering a topic that impacts your career in the dental industry. So if you don't want to miss out on future streams, be sure to follow our page or subscribe to our channel. If you like the content we're bringing you, please do drop us a like. And if you have anything to contribute to the conversations, thoughts, insights, questions about the content we're bringing you or about the dental industry as a whole, comment below. Okay? All right, so let's talk about the true cost of mishires in your dental practice. Hiring mistakes can show up really, really fast, but sometimes they may take months to uncover. Unless you're part of a large dental corporation, you're likely running a small and specialized team, which usually means that even one mishire can have outsized costs that cause excessive pressure, decrease productivity, increase training time, and increase strain on the rest of your team. Research actually supports that many dentists have experienced firsthand mishires and turnover, and they can carry real financial and operational consequences within dental offices. Okay, so let's start off by talking about the cost of mishire and employee turnover as well. In dental practices, the cost of a mishire typically includes recruiting expenses, training time, lost productivity, schedule disruption, and revenue loss from chair downtime. Workforce research from Gallup and SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management, SHRM, SHRM, along with dental-specific studies from the DANB, show these costs combined combined costs often range from approximately 50% to more than 100% of the employee's annual salary, depending on both the role and the length of the disruption. Okay, so that's a pretty wide range, but we're gonna like dig into this a little bit deeper so you can really see the true cost of this. Dentists and office managers don't need a study to tell them that replacing a team member is expensive, right? They feel it right away. And when you are in a dental office, you want to focus on treating patients, but you end up participating in scheduling additional conversations, training, and all of these other different areas that are demanding your attention and taking it away from your patients, right? So what research does is actually put real numbers behind that experience. It really does validate the experience of, feeling the impact of a mishire throughout your dental practice, your dental office. One of the most widely cited workforce studies conducted by Gallup estimates that replacing an employee typically costs between 50% and 200% of that employee's annual salary. That's a lot. And again, that depends on both the role and the level of responsibility, but still, that's a chunk of change that you do not want to contribute to that mishire, right? And that range sounds surprising at first, but once you start adding up everything that actually goes into replacing someone, it all starts to look, it all starts to make sense. It all starts to look like reality. Excuse me. Because the cost isn't just the job posting or the interview time, it also includes things like the hours spent sourcing, screening, and interviewing. Training time is pulled from doctors and experienced staff. Lost productivity while a position sits open, and slower performance while a new hire ramps up or may struggle depending on if it was a mishire or not, right? So Gallup also estimates that voluntary turnover costs the United States businesses around $1 trillion a year, much of which could be replaced with better hiring and engagement practices. And for dental practices, these costs tend to hit harder. Why? Because teams are small, roles are closely connected, and there's very little room for disruption. When a position is vacant or underperforming for a short time, its impact can spread quickly throughout the practice. So let's talk about cost per hire. Okay, so cost per hire is one of the most common metrics that employers use to evaluate hiring costs. It includes things like job postings, recruiting tools, background checks, and onboarding. A lot of money goes into those sorts of things and time, right? And according to SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management, those upfront expenses alone often total several $1,000s per hire. And that number can feel significant, but in dentistry, it's rarely the full story. What cost per hire doesn't capture is what happens after the hire starts. So time spent training instead of seeing patients, management time correcting mistakes or filling in gaps, overtime or temporary coverage when things don't run smoothly, and the impact on team morale when others have to compensate, right? Because if a position is vacant or if a position is underperforming, the rest of the team has to kind of chip in more time in order to make up for that. Right. And that can really lead to burnout as well. So, in other words, focusing only on cost per hire can make hiring look more affordable than it really is. Right. It doesn't really tell the full story. The true cost of a mishire shows up over weeks and months inside the schedule and across the team, not just on a recruiting invoice. So when mishires happen, it's rarely extra capacity. There's rarely extra capacity to absorb it, right? One person struggling or one role left open quickly affects the rest of the team. Schedules get tighter, experienced staff pick up the slack, and small problems have a way of compounding throughout the day. In larger organizations, turnover can sometimes be buffered, right? Because they have more resources, more labor resources, more financial resources in order to kind of close that gap a little bit closer. But in a dental office, it's felt immediately, and it's often chair by chair. Okay. Most dentists don't think about staffing in abstract terms. What matters is whether the day runs on time and whether the team can keep up. And that's why turnover in dental offices feels so disruptive. When a key position is vacant, a dental office can feel really off balance. And this is especially true for roles like hygienists, where availability directly affects production. In fact, dental-specific research often explains why this happens. So according to studies released by the Dental Assisting National Board, DANB, and the Dale Foundation, dental assistant vacancies can cost tens of thousands of dollars in annual income, largely due to reduced efficiency, chair downtime, and disrupted workflows. That is a significant amount of money. Right. And this shows up as increased stress on the remaining team, losses that go beyond the empty role, and training that takes time away from patient care. So when a role is left unfulfilled or filled by the incorrect individual, the impact is not contained, right? It spreads. It impacts the timetable, the crew, and ultimately the patient experience. Okay. And that can, really have long ranging effects as well, right? Because if patients don't have a positive experience, they may not return. That's lost revenue and a smaller patient base. It just has far reaching consequences that sometimes we don't sit down and actually think about. So understanding why dental assistants leave is as important as knowing how to hire them. Okay. So when a hire doesn't work out, okay, the obvious costs are easy to see. You repost the job, you restart interviews, you bring someone new on board. What's harder to see and often more expensive are the costs that build quietly in the background. So research from accounting and workforce firms shows that employees often underestimate the true cost of a mishire because they focus on recruiting expenses and overlook what happens day to day inside the practice, right? And those hidden costs can add up quickly, and they include things like doctor time that was pulled away from patient care to handle staffing issues, senior team members absorbing extra responsibilities and potentially leading to burnout, and schedules are running less efficiently as everyone else kind of scrambles to compensate for the open position. Okay. Over time, growth plans get delayed because the team is stretched thin. These costs don't show up neatly on a hiring spreadsheet, but they do have a real impact on revenue, morale, and sustainability. Okay. So let's do an actual example of what these costs look like, right? So consider this conservative example. Suppose a front office or office manager role is paid $50,000 per year, right? $50K annually. So like we said earlier, research shows between 50 to 200% is the loss or are the costs that you can expect to incur if you mishire somebody, right? So 50,000 per year at the low end, replacement cost estimate of 50,000 of salary. The cost of a mishire, it puts the cost of a mishire at $25,000. $25,000. Like that is significant, right? And that really impacts your business. At the high end, that number can easily reach 50K or more. So that is especially significant. That cost represents months of disrupted operations, lost productivity during onboarding, and time that could have been spent on patient care, marketing, and growing the practice. So defining expectations clearly up front, especially for clinical support roles, can really help reduce that risk. Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit more in depth. Most mishires don't happen because practices aren't trying hard enough, right? Of course, you're trying really hard to hire the right person, but a lot of the times it happens because hiring is really, really rushed after an unexpected departure or during growth as well, and you just need a larger team to support the larger patient base that you're having to work with. So it's easy to rely on resumes, quick interviews, or gut instinct in order to make that hire and get the person in there quickly so they can start doing what they need to do. However, research shows that hiring mistakes are often the result of rushed decisions, also limited candidate pools, overemphasis on experience, and cultural mismatch. A lot of people really underestimate that last one. Right? So reducing mishire risk is about hiring intentionally. And if you saw last week's stream, we mentioned that several times throughout the stream. And now we're really, really digging into what it means to hire intentionally and what impact it can have on your dental practice to take the time to select somebody very carefully. Okay. So that mindset matters even more in leadership roles like office managers, where alignment can be just as important as experience. Okay. And if you're looking for some good interview questions to kind of help you determine alignment of, the person's qualifications, the interviewee's qualifications with your practice's goals and targets. Again, check out last week's stream. Okay. So let's talk about a more sustainable hiring approach for dental practices. Okay, so over time, many dentists reach the same conclusion. Hiring is about reducing avoidable risk. Practices that experience fewer mishires tend to rely on clearer role expectations, dental specific screening, and a stronger candidate pipeline right from the get-go. So where and how a role is posted often influences the quality of applicants, right? When you're looking through your applicant pool, you want most of them to be qualified. I mean, hopefully all of them, but at least mostly qualified. So where you post can really impact the quality of your applicant pool. Okay, so for practices managing hiring across multiple roles, having a system built specifically for dental offices can make that process more consistent and less reactive, less rushed. Okay. Now, if any of this sounds familiar to you, the impact of mishires on your dental practice, feeling the pressure to rush your decision and just get a body in the position so that your office can continue to function, it's worth stepping back and looking at hiring not just as a task to get through, but as a risk to manage. Okay, when you are hiring somebody, you are investing in your dental practice. Now, how much ROI you're going to get is going to depend very heavily on the steps you took in determining the value of that investment. Okay, sometimes having a second set of dental experienced eyes on the process is all it takes to prevent a mishire that ends up costing far more than you wanted it to cost. Okay. So if mishires have been a recurring challenge, you are definitely not alone in this situation. So when it comes to Princess Dental Staffing, a dentist created Princess Dental Staffing for dentists. And Princess Dental Staffing focuses on helping practices hire more intentionally across roles like dental assistants, dental hygienists, and dental office managers as well. For practices looking to reduce hiring risk and create a more reliable team, the employer platform offers a way to add structure to the process by offering vetted candidates and resumes. And as we mentioned in last week's stream, one way to kind of really help take the pressure off of, that feeling of being rushed and just trying to get through this and make a decision is to hire temporary staff to kind of fill in the gap until you can make an intentional and informed decision about who you want joining your team. Okay. So in summation, mishires are expensive financially and in the daily rhythm of a dental practice, and also to your mental health and the mental health of your dental team. Every role affects the schedule, the team, and the patient experience. And when hiring becomes more intentional and dental specific, those disruptions can fade. Over time, practices spend less energy fixing staffing problems and more time doing what they actually set out to do: caring for patients, supporting their teams, and running a practice that feels sustainable and stable again. Okay. All right. So before I let you go today, let's talk about some free CEs. We've got free CEs. Okay. This week we have CE. Stop Blaming Your Patients, Tips on Effective Oral Health Communication. That is the title of the CE. And it's going on tomorrow, January 29th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the format is virtual. It's provided by Colgate. So this CE webinar focuses on dental professional communication to improve understanding and outcomes. So if you're looking to improve your communication with patients, this CE might be a really great opportunity to kind of get some insight and practice that. So participants in the CE, participants are going to learn how to define readability in oral health education, what plain language actually means and how to apply it in patient conversations, practical communication techniques recommended by the American Medical Association, and how to overcome misinformation and reduce communication barriers, and finally, ways to improve patient trust, engagement, and follow through. Okay, this session is especially valuable for dentists, dental hygienists, and dental assistants who want to strengthen patient relationships and improve compliance. Okay, so remember, Princess Dental Staffing is helping you not only optimize your dental practice, but also to really grow within the dental profession and with your professional development through these free CEs. Okay, so that will do it for me today, everyone. Hope you found this informative. We will be back next week with a new topic regarding your career in the dental industry. Until then, I hope you have a great week. Have a great weekend. Continue to stay safe out there, and I will see you soon. Ta for now.